I just going to talk about a couple of things. Over the last few years, I have problems here in Atlanta with kind of letting go of my place where I live. And it's really suspicious for me. And whatever I was doing, um, the, the, the price of a property dropped massively just because I couldn't sell it and I was in need to sell. I had problems with people who made an offer and then simply took the offer back. And it's again very suspicious because when they do the offer, somebody does offer for you, they will have to deposit a specific number of money, and that they lose if they refuse. So practically, if you deposit a couple of thousands of dollars and say, "Yeah, I would like to buy your condominium," they would, I mean, they will keep the word because they're serious about it. But suddenly, even on this case, even if they lose the um, condominium, uh, oh, thank you for listening to me, and it's great. So, uh, and then I, there was a couple of times, the way I understand, I see it, my condominium was about to be hijacked. Once there was a specific, well, was one guy who was a real estate agent. A few minutes after my mother got to the hospital in Salt Lake City, requested to enter the apartment. And at the time, my condominium wasn't for sale. So then there is a second time somebody put on there was my condominium was put on for sale on one of the, I think it's Zelle or something like this it's called, one of those, and it was really scary for me. So I always keep one things in mind, that you can end up homeless in a way after your property being hijacked. So what do you do? And there's a lot of stuff I went through, and as I said, I have hotel and restaurant management degree, and I work in the hotels for a very long time when I was young, and then something occurred to me. So how do you sell yourself? I mean, you cannot be on the street because when you become on the street, you become a big target for gang stalkers right away. And sometimes I had a video in one of those channels that on my channels that the actually making people homeless. There's a specific procedure of gang stalkers in order to make person totally vulnerable by stealing their identity papers, by do a lot of stuff that will destroy the person's lives, and it's going to be no way you can go home and lock the door and say, "Sorry, I'm not, I'm not giving up to you." But when they make you homeless, you're you cannot defend yourself sometimes. And actually, I was threatened in the past that they were going to make me homeless. I didn't realize what the homeless in gang stalking means. But actually, this is a whole bunch of stuff that can destroy your life there. So, and of course, when sometimes comes, you no longer can tolerate, even if you get yourself some money put aside when you work, like try to work as much as you can, kind of a save that if something happens, you can go in a hotel, right? But in the hotels, this is where the interesting thing comes, okay? There are several type of hotels, and if you look internet, for instance, cheap hotel in Salt Lake City, for instance, or cheap hotel in Atlanta, there are going to be some, but some of these hotels are located in a really bad area. You can become a victim of crime of some kind. And then there is another thing. You would love to go to a different city, for instance. I lived in Salt Lake City for 33 years, and I live in Atlanta for a couple of years, just taking care of here with my mother. And so, would you buy another condominium? Not, of course, for now. At least I don't think so. But if I lose it, I don't have any money. So the only way to go is on a really cheap motel. But cheap motels are disappearing. So this is exactly what is the indication of if you go to a specific city, if you can be harassed there or not, is this. It's availability of cheap housing. When you move to, for instance, from Atlanta to Salt Lake City, and you will see that the cheapest room, it's $160 per night. So practically you have, when you arrive in a specific city, you will have whatever money you saved gonna go away really fast. That you ended up with no money at all, and if you have no job, you're done. Okay. So some of the cities they have this boarding houses, which actually you rent a room. Sometimes it's up to $250 a month. I mean a week. Of course, it's $1,000 a month, but still, it's how it's called. You just pay and either stay there or you leave. But my point is that you can, when you have a cheaper housing and even this type of accommodation that do not require long-term commitment, like boarding houses, the um, if you don't have them in a city, it means this city has a problem with, and you can become gangstalked because you will be drained of your initial money that you have in order to move to this city. You'll be spending it in the hotels that they are um, really expensive. In the beginning, when you have money, of course, you don't want to end up somewhere on the street. But what happens after you run out of money? And this is, as I said, one of those indications. There are several types of boarding houses, inns. They were very popular in the 50s while in the United States with traveling salesmen. Traveling salesmen that drive around the country, sell things, and they usually stay in a boarding house. They have their own room, and they have a dinner or something like this, like old inn type. But they're disappearing. But some of the cities, they completely lack this. There is regulations that are being introduced simply to get rid of this type of stuff. In exactly the same, we don't want a specific characters to stay in these hotels because sometimes people who were in trouble, they would rent those apartments, those rooms for a long time and practically ended up living there. But as I said, for you as a former targeted individual or targeted individual in general, if you don't have cheaper place to live, you are in big trouble because most of the targeted individuals are people who have trouble with work, and it's because this is the first thing they do. First actions of gang stalkers is actually impoverishment of the person, that they cannot fight back and end up with no resources to fight back. I mean, the person completely is with no resources, you can get attacked in whatever way gang stalkers think you should be attacked. And this is what it is. If you see city, do research. If you decide to move first somewhere, do research. Those type of accommodations, are they available in the city you want to go? If not, you can have a problem. Which, by the way, this is it pretty much for this topic, but I remember, Sherlock Holmes, the famous private eye, he lived all his life, most of his life in a boarding house. Anyway, thank you, and write something if you see that maybe you're interested in specific things. As I said, I hit 60 this year, so I have enough experience in life. I went through several countries. As I said, I speak several languages. I traveled a lot in the past. Now I'm not, but I'm stuck in Atlanta, and so I have like average, or maybe a little bit above average personal knowledge about the world in a way, simply because uh, uh, I had so much experiences. And uh, if somebody asks, writes down something interesting and says, well, I would like to know about this I will be happy to answer. As I said, um, I am I have a family situation which is related to health. So as soon as it's done, um, I'm not gonna lie. I'm planning after I'm done with my mother's sickness, and if I'll be lucky to sell my condominium, if it's not lost, I would be. Thank you for watching, by the way. Thank you. You wrote me that out. Thank you so much. All right. So I will simply will uh, pack my stuff and leave. I am planning to go back to Salt Lake City. Um, and even though I no longer have, I'm no longer married there, but yet I still have a lot of people that know me. And I had a business there for about 10 years. I was selling things. Thank you, I'll be strong. And um, this is it pretty much. All right, you have a nice continuation of a holiday. Tomorrow is they observe Christmas, right? You're right. Oh, I work tomorrow. But anyway, thank you, whoever is watching, and whoever will be watching after I hang up. Thank you.